Welcome to Home Care Business Insights, your go-to resource for exploring the many aspects of running a successful home care business. Whether you're an industry pro, new entrepreneur, or just curious about the industry, this podcast offers strategies, tips, and solutions to help you succeed. While AI-generated voices host the episodes, the insights are real and designed with your growth in mind. Let's dive into what matters most in building a thriving home care business. Now let's hear from our AI hosts.
Welcome to Home Care Business Insights. Today we are diving deep into a question that I think, is hitting a lot of successful people right at a crossroads in their careers. The question is this: are you working a job, just a process, or are you actually building a life? And I mean really building a life, one that's designed to serve you, your values, your vision, and not the other way around.
That tension it's so real right now. You see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially for professionals who've spent, 20, maybe more years climbing that ladder. They get to a certain point, a good title, a great salary, and then they look around and realize this peak is actually a plateau. They got the stability, sure, but they don't have any real ownership. The alignment just isn't there.
Okay, let's unpack that realization, because that's the starting point for everything. Our mission for this deep dive is to really explore that journey, that transition from a high-level job into entrepreneurship. And, specifically why home care, an industry that is so critical and frankly booming, offers this unique path to getting it all: purpose, flexibility, and real long-term impact.
Yeah, and we have to start with that core premise, that spark. The traditional model, the one we're all taught, is you trade your most valuable resource, your time, for money. Right now. You can be busy, you can be incredibly productive, but you aren't actually investing in something that grows and builds value beyond you just showing up every day.
It's like consumption versus investment, but for your career. You consume that paycheck, it covers the bills, great. But investing, that's building the structure for freedom later on. So this whole deep dive is about that. It's about aligning what you do for a living with your personal values, with your long-term goals. Instead of just, squeezing your life into the little gaps a rigid corporate schedule leaves for you. That's the shift we need to dissect.
Okay, so let's really draw a hard line here, a definition divide.
Yeah.
Because people throw around job and building a life like they're the same thing, and they are not. Let's start with path one, working a job. This is all about the transactional mindset.
The transactional mindset, that's the perfect way to put it. It's that time for paycheck swap, plain and simple. And look, it offers security. That's why we all do it, especially early in our careers. You put in X hours of your work, you get Y dollars back. It feels safe. It feels guaranteed.
And that comfort is real, I get that. But the transaction itself it's inherently fixed. It's limiting. Your effort gets you a linear return. It pays this month's mortgage, but it doesn't build on itself. It doesn't grow exponentially for you. You're essentially selling the rights to your time, which means the value you create, the systems you make better, the wealth you generate, all that equity goes straight back to the company.
That is such a critical insight. You are renting your time to build someone else's house. And the second you stop providing that time, you get sick, you take a break, you quit, the money stops instantly. Your value is linear. If you want to make more money in a job, what do? You have to work more hours, or you have to wait for someone else, your boss, the market, the annual review, to decide you're worth more. There's a ceiling, and you don't set it.
And what becomes really restrictive, really fast, is that lack of control in the external metrics. In a job, your control over your own schedule, your own priorities. It's fundamentally not yours. You don't create your own autonomy. You have to ask for it. You have to petition for it.
It's permission-based autonomy. That's exactly it. You have to go to HR or your manager or check the team calendar just to live your life, a kid's school play, a doctor's appointment. You're always, by design, secondary to the organization's needs, not your own.
And the definition of success itself is external. You're measured by someone else's KPIs, their key performance indicators. And for this audience, you know what those are. Efficiency, cutting costs, speed. And those are important for a business, but they can feel completely disconnected from your own personal values, especially if you're driven by service or making an impact.
I can hear someone listening right now pushing back on that. They'd say, hey, efficiency and cost cutting are crucial for any business, home care included. So what's the specific value conflict that really drives people away?
The conflict happens when the metric forces you to sacrifice the human element for the number. So let's say your personal value is about delivering just incredible quality service, but your metric, your KPI, is just about maximizing call volume or cutting costs per client visit. You are now in a constant state of value conflict. You feel stuck. And you realize the stability you wanted came with this huge hidden price. that constant nagging feeling that what you're doing doesn't align with who you are.
And that feeling, that dissonance, that's the engine for burnout. We'll get to that. But first, let's contrast that with the alternative. Building a life. This isn't transactional. This is intentional. It's about ownership.
Absolutely. The foundation is designing your work around your values. It's a radical shift. Instead of taking the little bits of time left over from your job and trying to cram your life into them, you start with what's non-negotiable for you. Family time, community impact, your health. And then you build your business, your systems to support those things first.
And this is where that idea of creating flexibility, not asking for it, really comes into play. That shift gives you real, actual control. You set the terms for your day. You set the trajectory for your future. If family time is your priority, you design systems in your business so you can leave for 3 hours on a Tuesday and things don't fall apart.
And how you measure success completely changes. It's a total metamorphosis. It's not about hitting some quarterly bonus target that the VP in another state set for you. Success is now defined by the tangible impact you're having, the autonomy you have, the sustainability of the asset you're building. The whole focus shifts from just getting a paycheck to investing in something that grows and builds value for you and your family, even when you're not there.
So here's the crucial takeaway for everyone listening. The difference is not about how many hours you work. You can work 80 hours a week in a job, or 80 hours a week starting your own business. It's not the point. The fundamental difference is what is that work building for the future, and who, at the end of the day, owns the value of all that effort. Are you building their ladder, or are you building your own foundation?
You know, this whole discussion job versus a designed life, it's never been more urgent than it is right now.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the context that's pushing so many high achievers towards this kind of entrepreneurship. And that context is the burnout epidemic.
Yeah, and this isn't just about being a little overworked. That's part of it, sure. But this new wave of burnout is deeper. It's a systemic exhaustion. It's rooted in that value conflict we just talked about. Professionals in finance, in tech, and especially in really high-pressure healthcare jobs, they're being forced to just stop and reevaluate everything. The emotional and physical cost of hitting those external metrics has just become too high.
The pandemic was like a giant mirror, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It just reflected the reality of inflexible work right back in people. They were stuck in their home offices, looking at the same four walls and asking themselves, is all this effort, all this stress, all these missed family moments, is it really worth it? And for more and more people, the answer is no. Not unless that work is tied directly to their own vision, their own purpose, their own equity.
Which forces this huge rethinking of what success even means. You know, for our parents' generation, success was almost purely vertical. The next title, the bigger salary, the corner office. We're seeing a massive rejection of that one-dimensional view. It's just not good enough anymore to get to the top of your field if it costs you your quality of life, your mental health, your family.
Right. People want meaningful work and quality of life. They're refusing to accept that old idea that you had to choose one or the other. They're looking for integration, where their work is actually designed to support their life, not to be in a constant battle with it.
And that realization, that tipping point, it's almost always triggered by these huge, unavoidable life moments, the catalysts for the shift. This is when that choice between a job and a life becomes really, really personal and critical.
The first one we hear all the time is raising children, needing real, non-negotiable control over your family time. Just imagine you're a senior VP. And you have to basically negotiate to attend your own daughter's championship game. And you're told, sorry, it's the end of the quarter. We need you here. That feeling, that crushing weight of having to ask permission to live your own life, that's often the spark. They realize the only way to really be present for their family is to own the company calendar.
Another huge one, and this is so relevant for our industry, is caring for aging parents. All of a sudden, these professionals are thrown into the deep end of geriatric care. Doctor support, housing decisions, and they realize they have zero flexibility in their schedule to manage this chaotic, emotionally draining new reality.
Exactly. They see that the corporate world is just completely unforgiving when it comes to real human needs. Your mom has an emergency on a Tuesday morning. Well, your rigid corporate meeting schedule doesn't care. That's a harsh wake-up call. And often, it turns directly into a drive to build a business that not only gives them flexibility, but that actually solves the exact problem they're facing, the massive lack of quality, reliable senior support.
And then there's the last one, that quiet, nagging feeling of, is this all there is? That deep dissatisfaction that hits after you've dedicated years to climbing the ladder. You got the status, you got the income, but there's no real fulfillment. You got to the top, only to realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong building the whole time.
So when you look at all these catalysts together, they all point to one thing. The need to design a work structure that actually serves your life. It's about moving from a life of reacting to your boss, to the market, to HR policies, to a life of intentional creation. You create the schedule, you create the culture, you create the outcome. And that, as we're about to see, leads people straight to the solution that home care offers.
Okay, so we've nailed down the why, the burnout, the need for an intentional life design. Now let's talk about the where and the what. When professionals make this shift, they need a platform that's, stable, scalable, and actually makes a difference. And home care is in this really unique position. It's right at that intersection of impact and opportunity. It's a rock-solid foundation.
It is. And this isn't about chasing the latest tech trend or some fleeting consumer fad. Home care starts with this undeniable mission-driven purpose that gives the business real weight. It's all about this essential, non-negotiable goal of helping seniors age with dignity, letting them stay independent and safe in their own homes, which overwhelmingly is where they want to be.
The second you get into this business, the emotional ROI is just. It's immediate. It's guaranteed. This is essential support. It's a fundamental need in our society, and it's driven by compassion. For a professional coming from a purely abstract, transactional corporate role, this mission is the missing piece that makes work feel meaningful again.
And here's a key difference in how you measure success. Unlike a lot of businesses, where success is just a number on a spreadsheet, in home care, success is relational. It's community-based. When you have a client, say Mrs. Smith, stay safely out of a nursing home for another 6 months, you get this daily, tangible validation of your human impact. That relational success, which is directly tied to your reputation and client loyalty, it fuels you in a way that just hitting a revenue target never could.
Let's ground this in the practical market demands, though, because meaning is great, but it has to be sustainable. We need to be really clear that home care services are essential. They're recession-resistant. They're not a fad. For someone looking to invest significant capital into a long-term play, this is critical.
Oh, the stability is locked in by demographics. It's a certainty. We're seeing this rapid, undeniable growth because of the aging population. In the U.S. alone, something like 10,000 people turn 65 every single day. That's a demographic wave that isn't going away. The number of people who need help with daily living is just skyrocketing, and their preference for getting that care at home is overwhelming.
So it's an essential service driven by ironclad demographics. You can't argue with it. This guarantees high, sustained demand for the long haul. It gives entrepreneurs a stable market to build on no matter what the broader economy is doing. People will always need dignified care, and they will find a way to pay for it to maintain their independence.
And what's really interesting is how this blend of purpose and practicality uses the skills these professionals already have. You get that immediate emotional return, yes, but to succeed, you also need high-level systems thinking.
Right. So if you spent 15 years in corporate management, optimizing logistics, managing huge budgets, dealing with complex HR issues, your expertise is incredibly valuable here. As a home care owner, you get the instant gratification of helping someone. But your success depends on applying those high-level skills, strategic planning, quality control, operational excellence, to a very human business. You're just redirecting the energy you once used to maximize shareholder value toward maximizing a client's quality of life.
So home care really becomes the ideal vehicle for professionals looking for that balance. It answers that call for meaningful work, but it anchors that work in a practical, stable economic model. And it uses the leadership and systems knowledge they spent decades building in their old careers. It's purpose, but built on the strongest possible foundation of practicality. Okay, we have to address the elephant in the room, the #1 fear of becoming an entrepreneur. And that's the insane, all-consuming workload of starting a business from scratch. A lot of professionals worry they're just trading one demanding boss for an even tougher one themselves. They're afraid of becoming the ultimate operator.
That is a completely legitimate fear. And let's be real. Starting any business takes a ton of dedication and long hours at first. But the distinction here, and this is what makes a franchise model like ours at Caring Senior Service so powerful, is that the entire structure is designed to mitigate that risk. It's built to help the owner move from being an operator to being a leader, so they can actually build a life that's supported by the business.
The core benefit of a structured franchise model is that it shifts your focus right away. We move you away from working in the business, covering shifts, doing every little admin task, to leading the business. The proven systems are there specifically to help you make that transition as fast as possible.
So let's break down those advantages. How does this model help an owner build scalable systems that actually give them their time back? I think the first and most critical piece is the ability to build and empower a leadership team and do it quickly.
Right. A structured model gives you the blueprint, the org chart, the job descriptions, the training manuals for all the key roles. It defines what a care coordinator does, what a client service manager does. This means you, as the owner, aren't spending months trying to invent the wheel. Instead, you're focused on recruiting and empowering those leaders from day one. That's how you build capacity into the system itself. And that capacity is what gives you scalability and ultimately your freedom.
So if I'm a former VP of marketing, my time isn't spent on payroll issues or, God forbid, covering an overnight shift. I'm focused on being the CEO. I'm setting the culture, planning the growth strategy, allocating capital. I'm using my corporate skills, delegating, trusting systems, thinking about the big picture, not fighting fires every single minute of the day.
And that reliance on tested, scalable systems is what allows for growth without burnout. We're talking about ready-made processes for everything from client intake and scheduling software to compliance and regulations. That's huge. These systems let an owner expand their territory, take on more clients, and increase their income, while at the same time actually regaining control over their personal time. In this model, growth doesn't mean more work for you. It means the system is working more efficiently.
I want to circle back to that listener's fear. When does the hard work end and the freedom begin? How does the structure actually stop me from becoming that ultimate operator, working 24/7?
That timeline is key, and it's all about intentional design. The goal, with a strong franchise model, is to hire your key operations staff, your care coordinator and client service manager, within the first 3 to 6 months. By using the provided systems right away, you're transferring the bulk of that administrative and scheduling work to them. Your role changes from doing the work to auditing the system. By month 6 to 12, a successful owner should be spending 80% of their time on leadership, local marketing, community outreach, and only 20% on operational oversight. That's the inflection point. That's when the design pays off in time back.
And that shift in your role is everything. The whole point is to move from being a tactical operator, the person running the machine, to being the visionary, the leader. That's what minimizes the daily grind that crushes so many small business owners. It maximizes the autonomy you were looking for in the first place.
And we see it all the time. Professionals leaving healthcare, corporate, management roles, they're perfect for this. They already understand structure, leadership, service delivery. They know how to manage a budget, deal with compliance, handle HR. They're just taking those high-level skills and applying them to a business they actually own, driven by a purpose they actually believe in. They're going from managing a division in someone else's company to owning their own successful company.
So the power of that intentional design, especially with a strong franchise model, it turns what can be a high-risk gamble into a focused, calculated strategy for building a scalable asset that supports your life instead of one that takes it over.
So we've covered purpose and flexibility, but now we have to talk about the long-term outcome, the big picture. What is the ultimate ROI for all that hard work and capital? This is where the idea of legacy just fundamentally separates working a job from building a life. There's no comparison.
Let's start with the finite nature of a job, just the financial reality of a salary. A job gives you income for the work you do. It can be a great income, but it's taxed heavily, and it stops the minute you stop working. You walk away after 30 years, and what's left? An empty office, and, you hope, a big enough retirement fund. The job itself gives you zero personal equity in the actual business.
Right. You are paid for your time and your skills, but the wealth, the brand, the operational structure you help build, it all stays with the corporation.
Okay.
It was a rental agreement, a very well-paid one, maybe. But it wasn't a permanent asset you can control or pass on.
Now, contrast that sharply with building a business. When you build a successful home care franchise, you are creating long-term, sellable equity. This is a huge financial distinction. It's not just about your monthly cash flow. It's about a tangible, valuable asset that you build over time, an asset that can be valued, sold, leveraged. It's a substantial, permanent piece of wealth built on your own vision and effort.
We're talking about an asset that can be valued based on multiples of its earnings, its EBITDA. The exit strategy is completely different from a 401k. The value you create actually belongs to you. That tangible equity is the physical result of all those years of intentional design, system building, and culture creation. It's the difference between getting a severance package and selling a multi-million-dollar company.
And on top of that, the scalable structure we talked about. Once it's running smoothly, it's designed to generate income even when you're not actively working in it. That ability to create passive or semi-passive income is the true freedom of entrepreneurship. It's the intentional uncoupling of your time from your money.
Which brings us to what legacy really means in this industry, and it's so much more than just the money. For the entrepreneur, legacy is about the profound non-financial returns. what they're leaving behind for their community and their family.
The multi-generational impact is one of the most powerful parts. The business you build, it affects so much more than your own family's bank account. It provides stable, meaningful jobs for your staff. You're creating careers for hundreds of people in your community over the years. That creates economic stability.
And even more profoundly, it provides critical, compassionate support to your clients and their families. You're reducing stress, improving independence, and literally raising the quality of life for potentially thousands of people in your area. That's a meaningful footprint.
We hear this from our franchise owners all the time. That legacy, the lasting positive impact on the dignity of seniors and the health of their community, that's a primary driver for them. It's often more important than just maximizing revenue. They realize they aren't just building a business. They're building a vital community resource, a foundation of care.
Exactly. And that focus on serving a real human need ensures that when they eventually exit, they leave behind something that continues to serve the community and provides a substantial asset for their family. A true, tangible legacy built on purpose and on sound business principles.
So we've gone deep on the contrast between the transactional nature of a job and the intentional design of building a life through home care. Now, as we wrap this up, we want to bring this conversation directly to you, the listener, right where you are today.
Yeah, we want to encourage you to take a minute and do some honest reflection. We have a few questions, and they're designed to really shine a light on where your current path aligns, or maybe doesn't align with your deepest goals.
Okay, first question. Does your current work genuinely support the life you want in the long term? And don't just look at your paycheck today. Look at the flexibility, the fulfillment, the impact you want to have over the next 10 years. If the answer is no, then the structure itself is the problem, no matter how much you're getting paid.
Next question. Are you building something you profoundly believe in? Something that feels truly necessary and purposeful? Or are you just staying incredibly busy and productive? Because remember, productivity without purpose is just wasted energy. That genuine belief is the only fuel that's strong enough to get you through the hard work of building something for yourself.
This next one. This one requires some radical honesty, and it can be a little sobering. If nothing about your career changed in the next 10 years, same job, same path, same lack of control, would you be deeply satisfied with that outcome? If that thought gives you that little knot of dread or regret in your stomach, that's your gut telling you it's time for a change.
And finally, what practical steps would it take to align your income generation directly with your deepest personal values? This moves you from just thinking about it to taking action. For so many high-level professionals, the answer is making that strategic move from being a service-based employee to a service-based owner. Leveraging all the skills you already have, but within a stable, purposeful franchise structure that you control.
The core idea we want to leave you with is this. The whole difference is intention. Building a life doesn't mean working less. Let's be realistic. Entrepreneurship is a huge effort, but it absolutely means working with acute, unwavering intention.
Intention means every hour you put in, every decision you make, every dollar you invest. It's all directly serving your long-term goals. It's all accumulating value for you, not just meeting the immediate demands of an employer. You're trading linear work for exponential equity. You're trading asking for flexibility for commanding your own autonomy. Hashtag tag outro.
So we bring it all back to where we started. We've explored that fundamental tension between being an employee, trading your time for money, and being an owner, intentionally designing a life around purpose, flexibility, and real equity.
And the central argument is, I think, really clear and compelling. For those high-performing professionals who are searching for that rare mix of purpose, real flexibility, and the chance to build a business that matters, home care entrepreneurship offers just an unparalleled opportunity. It lets you use your executive experience to do deeply meaningful work while you create the life you want to live on a foundation that you own.
You're taking back control. Control of the metrics, control of the systems, and control of the long-term outcome. You're ensuring that your decades of hard work result in a lasting legacy and a real asset for your family and your community.
So here's a final thought for you to take with you from this deep dive. Don't wait to find time for your life outside the box that work puts you in. Instead, make the commitment to work with purpose and intention to create the life you want, using the business structure itself as the tool to achieve that freedom.
We encourage you to continue exploring how you can turn your professional experience into an entrepreneurial legacy right here with us at Caring Senior Service. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.